Our lesson on familiarity with the Lord. I do not have a version yet online, but I'm going to try to just do a voice text transposition. And that's always so amusing because the word amazement becomes in silly, zooing maze. So, if nothing else, it keeps me occupied and entertained. The disciples were fishermen. Indeed, Jesus had called them when they were at work. Andrew and Peter were working with the nets. They left their nets and they followed Jesus. James and John were with their father and the workers of the family, and they left everything and left to follow Jesus. They received their call precisely as they worked as fishermen. And today's passage from the gospel, this miracle, the miraculous catch that Peter single-handedly pulled ashore, that was twice the weight value of the net, that did not break the net, did not capsize the boat, and all of the fish were the same size of great saleable value. This net Luke tells us about. The same thing happened in other Gospels too. They caught something when they didn't think they were going to be able to catch anything. After Jesus had preached, he told them to go out to sea. But we have been working all night and we haven't caught anything, was said in the previous time. But Jesus said, go. Peter said, on your word, we will cast out the nets. The quantity then was also so great that the gospel tells us that they had to call for the other boat. Today, in that other catch of fish, one does not speak about astonishment. We can see a certain naturalness. We can see that there has been some progress, a journey of knowing the Lord, of intimacy with the Lord. I would say that the right word would be that they have grown familiar with the Lord and how he acts. When John sees this, he says to Peter, but it is the Lord. And Peter tucks in his garment and jumps into the sea in order to swim to shore to see the Lord. The first time he kneeled before him and said, depart from me, Lord, for I am a sinful man. With this catch, though, he says nothing. It is more natural. Because remember, Peter already spoke to the Lord once, following his resurrection. It is not recorded in any of the Gospels. For that conversation, that meeting between Christ and his chosen successor was private. The apostles' familiarity with the Lord had grown. We Christians, too, in our journey of life, are in this state of walking, of progressing in familiarity with the Lord. The Lord, I could say, is a bit down to earth, but he is down to earth because he walks with us, as does the Spirit. And we recognize that it is him. No one asks him here, who are you? They knew that he was the Lord. It is an everyday familiarity with the Lord, that for the Christians. And certainly, they ate breakfast together with fish and bread. Certainly, they spoke about many things naturally. This familiarity with the Lord of Christians is always in community. Yes, it is intimate, it is very personal, but within the community, a familiarity without community, a familiarity without breath, a familiarity without the church, without the people, without the sacraments, is dangerous, for it has no framework, it has no basis of commonality. If it can then become, let's say, a Gnostic familiarity, a familiarity for me by myself, detached from the people of God. This apostle's familiarity with the Lord is always a community familiarity. It always takes place at the table, a sign of the community. It will always be with the sacrament, always with the bread. I say this because someone made me reflect on the danger that we are living in this moment. During the long distance religion of the pandemic that has made us all communicate through newer, unusual means of communication. Even the masses are coming via electronics. We are not together to practice our spirituality. People gathered together are few, if it's possible. Even in the Vatican, when the Pope celebrated Mass, there were 6 to 8 people, the same 6 to 8 every day. There's a large number of people. We are together, but not together. The sacrament too. Today you receive the Eucharist, but the people linked up with us have only spiritual communion. And this is not the church. This is the church in a difficult situation, which the Lord permits, but the ideal of the church is always with people, in place, in the pews, and with the sacraments being experienced in body. Before Easter, when the news emerged that the Pope would celebrate Easter again in an empty basilica, a bishop wrote to me, a good bishop, a very good man, and he rebuked the Pope. But how come St. Peter's is so big? Why not put at least 30 people in there or 200 people in there? It is so big, they could still have 10 feet between each of them. The Pope writes, but what does he have in mind to say this to me? I didn't understand at the time. But since he is a good bishop, very close to his people, he wanted to say something to me. When I find him, I will ask him. Then I understood. He was saying to me, be careful not to make the church virtual, viral, not to make the sacraments virtual, not to make the people of God virtual. The church, the sacraments, the people of God are concrete. It is true that in this moment, we must provide this familiarity with God in this way, but so as to come out of the tunnel, not to stay inside it. And this is the familiarity of the apostles, not Gnostic or virtual, not selfish for each one of us, but a concrete familiarity in the people. Familiarity with the Lord in everyday life, familiarity with the Lord in the sacraments, in the midst of the people of God. They went on a journey of maturation in their familiarity with the Lord. Let us learn how to do this as well. From the very first moment, they understood that familiarity was different to what they had imagined, and they arrived at this. They knew that there was the Lord, and they shared everything: the community, sacraments, the Lord, peace, and fasting. May the Lord teach us this intimacy with Him, this familiarity with Him, but in the church, with the sacraments, and with the faithful holy people of God. Amen.